Hi guys, this is Mattjestic Gaming over here, and today with the Twitch chat we're going to be bringing you the third part of the beginner's guide. In the third part, we're going to assume that you have played a few games, or maybe played auto chess for 1 or 2 days, that you know a few of the basic synergies. So what I want to show you guys is a few nicer synergies that we can be looking at in most of our games. So let's start it off. When do we lock? When do we stay? Personally, I would lock in favor of early game synergy. What are the early game synergies? Those are goblins and warriors, and those are some of the best early game synergies. I bought this one so that we have 2 goblins. Notice how with 3 goblins we start the goblin trial, and that is one of the best synergy to have in the early game. Here I locked in for Tinker for a safer route. You don't have to do this in certain levels, and this is a personal preference. Sometimes I think it's nice to have a Tinker, most of other times I'll be open for a new round. What does this mean? Notice how each round, if you're locked, you don't get a free roll, so technically you're losing 2 gold. But to go a little deeper, you are losing more than just 2 gold, because you are losing this precious rate here. As any player at the early game, you can only have 1 chance in the game to have a roll as level 2. So a level 2 rolling is really precious if you're looking for a lot of 1 stars. Notice how I'm level 3, I can never go back to level 2. What does that mean? It means that I'll never enjoy the good rates from level 2. When I say good rates, I meant level 2 has such high rate of finding 1 stars. And it's so important for us to think about whether we want to lock, whether we don't want to lock. Because locking, not only does it cost you 2 gold, it also costs you the chance of rolling at early levels, and that can be worth more than just 2 gold, because you can only have 1 chance of rolling at level 2 and 2 chance of rolling at level 3. Keep that in mind. Again, items are very RNG dependent. Most items are dropped at 20% rate, and sometimes not all the good items appears. Again, notice how this term my game rolled for me. So at this turn, my game rolled at this rate, at 60% and 35%. If I wanted more 2 stars, what I should be doing is I want to be rolling early in the earlier games to be getting my 2 stars. Notice how I'm rolling when I have the highest rate for the units I want. Let's say if I want a Bat Rider, what I can do is I can sell 1, I can sell 2, I have 2 gold, I can roll once, and I'm looking for a Bat Rider. I did not find a Bat Rider. That is fine. So notice here we're playing a really strong early game lineup that consists of goblins. So we're going to sell the Bat Rider for another goblin. So here we have 2 bounty hunter. We're going to lose this round simply because Terrorblade is very strong. So this really introduced you guys to the early rolling strategy, and I feel it's quite important. Notice how that we lost that round, not because this is not strong, the 2-star bounty hunter, but rather we didn't have the goblin trial. Here we have the goblin trial. We can put 1 more. Now what if we roll again? We found another clock. And what if we roll again? We didn't find anything. That is fine. So notice how you want all of these units down. You want all of these units down so you have the max capacity to be winning each round. Usually I give items to my strongest unit. This will help me enhance how strong that unit is. Notice as a goblin player, we have a randomness with goblins. That's why we put all the units in the front, so most of the units have a chance of getting the armor, most of the units have a chance of using the armor. Right now this clockwork using this armor. This nanobot armor might help him survive, but unfortunately for this one, he died. So now that we introduced this early game rolling strategy, you may be wondering, hey, why am I wasting my gold rolling in the early game? Why do I want to do this? And what are the benefits? What are the downsides to do this as a beginning player? As a beginning player, we need to know 2 things. One is you want to win most of your rounds. You don't really want to be losing unless you know a bit of the game and you understand what this losing streak means for you. If you don't know much about losing, then you just want to be winning most of your rounds. What does this do is it saves most health for you, and it will give you more gold because each time you win, you gain a bonus gold. And here, funny enough, we're actually on a losing streak. which I'll touch on with the next guide. As a beginning player, what happens if you lose? So right now, as a beginning player, we're focused on winning. We want early game units. What do I mean by early game units? I meant by having an early game combination, say warriors and goblins, and having early game 2 stars on top of that. Again, we got really lucky with the timber saws, and notice how we already have a timber saw. Now we can play the timber saw down, and all of a sudden we have a 2-star timber saw, which is very strong. But on top of that, I can roll again. I pressed again, but we didn't find anything. So what is in my mind? What was I thinking? You can be like, hey, you already have a timber saw. What are you thinking? What I was thinking is, I have 1 pair, 2 pair, and 3 pair. Notice how when the builder level is very low, you have the highest chance of rolling your low tier units. So imagine if I was level 8, I'm looking for a tinker or looking for a bounty hunter, my rates would dramatically changes. It's dramatically different. I have less 1 cost and 2 cost unit chances. I have higher rates because my rates have shifted downwards towards the blue units and purple units and legendaries. Notice how we have a higher chance of winning simply because we have stronger units. When I say stronger units, I meant a unit that fits the class synergy or the race synergy, and a unit that also are 2 stars. We don't need a 3-star right now, but we really do need 2 stars. So let's throw again. We have 3 pairs, and guess what? We just found another pair. Each time I have an upgrade, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be swapping out a unit that is 1 star. Let's keep this in mind. You always be wanting to swap out units that are 1 cost, or units that are 1 star. Notice how this is a 2-star timber, this is a 2-star tinker, and this is a 2-star bounty hunter. You usually want to replace units and replace the 1 stars with the 2 stars you just made. And yes, you could be saying, hey, as a new player, isn't it better if we just open up our chest limits? And isn't it better if we put more units? It is yes and it's no at the same time. Yes, it's nicer to have more units on the field, but what if I just have lots of weak units? Here I have a really strong 2-star. This timber saw himself is equal to maybe 3 or 4 weak units. So sometimes having more is not that much better. So this is when quality is greater than quantity. Now, sometimes in early games you'll be lucky enough. Here I have a 2% chance of finding a purple unit. I did find a purple unit. As a new player, definitely try to buy the purple unit and put it down. As a new player, we also want to keep in mind each level will gain 1 XP. With 1 XP, slowly we'll be leveling up our builder. Here we leveled up to 5/5, simply because we got to level 5. Now, we want to keep a good strategy in mind and a good mindset of rates and unit rates. Here, what we're looking at is we know that we haven't been leveling our unit. A lot of people will give recommendations saying, hey, you can level your builder. But let's think what happens when we level a builder. We open up more slots, we get higher rate of finding more rare units, but there's a downside to this. The downside of leveling is that you can never have the higher rate of finding lower cost units. What do I mean by that? Is that you can never have a higher rate of finding 1 cost unit, you can never have the higher rate of finding a 2 cost unit. Let me give you an example here. I can level to level 6 by selling this anti-mage. And notice how my 1 cost unit are 40% and 35%. Let me level up. All of a sudden I have, instead of 40 and 35, I have 33 and 30% for 1 cost and 2 cost. And yes, I can put additional unit down on the field. I might feel a little stronger, but notice this is still a 1-star unit. It is not very strong in terms of damage or health. You really do want quality over quantity most of the times, and because we can never go back with our leveling, you can't reverse level. You can't say, hey, I have lots of gold now, bring me back to level 1 rate or level 2 rate so I can roll all my 1 stars. We can't go back. So because the fact we can't go back, I would like to introduce this idea of remembering what you're here to do is you're here to combine them into 2 stars. Oh, excuse me, the alarm went off. So if we're here to combine them into 2 stars, and if I see my field, I have pairs that are 1 cost unit, I actually want to stay at lower levels to have a higher chance of combining them into pairs. So this is the next thing I want to bring in this particular part of the guide, is to stay on a particular level for the best rate of the units you can combined into a 2-star. This is what we want to see. If all of my units here are pairs that are 3 cost unit, so those are the blue units you have, if that's the case, then maybe I want to find the best level for that. And if all my units are 2 cost units, maybe I want to find the best level for that. But then you might ask, what are the best level for those? I do have a table that is also in my particular collection of videos. You can refer that on that table, which is a particular video. I explained how to read the table and to see what are the best time to find the best unit for a particular one. Say here, I have 2 Queen of Pain. I know I just need 1 more Queen of Pain to level her up to 2-star. And I know a 2-star Queen of Pain is much better for us. But knowing that it's 30% chance of finding a 2-star, is it beneficial if I level to level 7, or is it beneficial if I stay on level 6 and spend some money in finding her? The answer for a lot of the veteran players over here is actually to stay on level 6, because we actually remember, or you can check with my table, the rates of a 2 cost unit is going to stay unchanged between level 7 builder over here and level 6 builder. So that means if I leveled up, I'm not actually getting a better chance of finding my Queen of Pain. So what is my point of leveling up? You can say, hey, you get better purple units, but if we look carefully here, we only have 6 slots, and most of the time a 2-star unit, so a leveled up unit, this is a leveled up 2-star unit, is better than a 1-star unit by far. So if I wanted to match my pairs, here we have a few pairs. I can be rolling. I roll once, I got another Phantom Assassin, which is nice. We'll be keeping her, and we can roll again. You really don't want to roll when you're down to no savings, because let's say if I sell this Tinker, I can roll now. Definitely, it only costs me 2 gold to roll. But what happens if I find the unit I want, and then I can't purchase it? You really don't want to roll when you have no gold, simply because you can say you can lock it, but remember, locking costs 2 gold, because you're not getting a free roll next round, and that free roll is actually a 2 gold roll. So, or you can call it refresh. So it's actually a 2 gold reroll or 2 gold refresh. Again, because I'm sitting on most of my pairs, which are 1 cost unit, 2 cost unit, my only 4 cost unit pair is this Templar. It's very nice if I find her, but it's actually more beneficial for us if we reroll now for our 1 cost units. And we're going to reroll again, and again. Unfortunately, after 3 reroll we didn't find it. Sometimes we do get desperate if there's a need to reroll again. I'm going to try again. And again, after 4 rolls we didn't match any of our pair. We do have 4 pairs, and this is the level to find them at the highest rate. And sometimes you might be wondering, hey, why do I want to find pairs? Why do I want those units? And this is what I'm going to touch up on the last part of the beginner's guide. Is when we talk about unit leveling, unit composition, and saving for the mid game and saving for victory. So thank you guys for watching this part of the replay. This part of the guide will be going into the last part of the beginner's guide.